Ladies and gentlemen, on my clock, it's 10:30. I think we're ready to start the meeting. David, please call the roll.
Chairman Pate,
Here.
Vice Chair McNabb.
Here.
Commissioner Contreras. Commissioner Mock.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Waite.
Here.
Commissioner Miller Maldonado.
Thank you,
We
David.
do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Thank you. Time on my clock is 10:30. At this time, I'd like to invite Chaplain Michael Bingaman from San Antonio to provide today's invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the opportunity that we are given once again to come together. We ask that you bless the commissioners and the staff with the wisdom that they need to fulfill their responsibilities of overseeing this industry that we all love. In the name of he who was born in a manger, we pray, and those that agreed said, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain Bingaman. If everyone would please rise, we'll now recite the pledges to the United States and Texas flags.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Please be seated. Commissioners, I'd like to welcome you to today's commission meeting. Since our last meeting, the agency staff have continued to work with industry as we close out the 2025 racing season and prepare for the 2026 season. I would also like to mention our executive director, Amy Cook, is out with the flu today. She went home sick yesterday and called this morning, but we wish Amy well. Commissioners, we will review staff recommendations on approval of live race dates, distribution of funds for Texas Bred Incentive Fund, and request for an event funding from the horse industry escrow account. Also, I want to recognize Executive Director Amy Cook for her transformative work at the Texas Racing Commission. Under Amy's leadership, the agency has addressed findings in the last report of the Sunset Commission. The agency, she secured the commission's first ever drug testing contract with UC Davis, ensuring uninterrupted race integrity testing. Since early last year, our investigators have opened nearly 400 cases, some of which amount to exposing the largest horse drugging scheme in Texas horse racing history. Thanks to targeted disease control policies, we have not seen an EIA positive connected to a track since the fall of 2024. Internally, Amy modernized agency functions, strengthened cybersecurity with DIR support, and delivered operational savings while expanding safety and compliance inspections across the state. Director Cook's accomplishments over the last 4 years include bringing a state agency from the brink of being abolished to a functional, credible organization with a more sustainable resourcing model that includes twice the number of staff, budget, and associated support systems, such as information technology and a fleet vehicle program to carry out the agency mission. She has been willing to complete any task required to accomplish the agency mission, from managing the public website to rewriting the agency budget structures through collaboration with the Legislative Budget Board and the Office of the Governor. To increase agency capability to address civil and criminal violations under Texas law, Ms. Cook has rebuilt the agency peace officer program by assuming the role of chief law enforcement officer while simultaneously becoming a licensed peace officer herself. In addition, she has developed a robust administrative hearing capability within the agency to provide timely adjudication of violations for occupational licenses. In addition, Ms. Cook has reformed the occupational licensing program to ensure that the standards under the Texas Racing Act are met and to provide better customer support. She's also assumed the role of Chief Information Officer and Information Security Officer to ensure that stakeholder communications are timely and personal data is protected for all business and occupational licensees. During her time in office, she has also somehow found the time to attend and complete the governor's executive education program and additionally obtain her master's in law degree. As some of you may know, Amy will be leaving the agency by year's end. We thank her for her service. Amy will be very difficult to replace. So thank you, Amy, and good luck. Pictures, would any of you like to add a personal comment or observation?
I would if you could. When we had the massive transition from the previous leadership and then to interview people to come in, first of all, we weren't really sure if anyone was going to apply for the job. When Amy came in and we started to go through all the things that existed at the time and the things that needed to be done, a couple of the other applicants kind of blinked their eyes and Amy just leaned forward, and this is going to be a challenge. When she accepted the job, we let her know this is going to be a massive amount of work to take an agency that was barely functional, and she has done a heroic, absolutely heroic job. Is everything done that she wanted to do? Not yet. Are we perfect? Not yet. But she kept her eye on the prize. What is important? We've got to do things fair, but we're going to do things according to the law, and we're going to try to do everything we can for the industry to keep it clean and take care of the people and the horses. She's done a fabulous job, and she will be missed.
Any other comments? All right. As a final note, this personnel change does not signal or suggest any policy changes at the Texas Racing Commission. Specifically, the Texas Racing Commission will continue to prosecute with the state of Texas and other parties the HISA case with the, until a final determination on its constitutionally has finally been made. Additionally, the HIA will continue to be administered consistent with law and with the reporting requirements suggested and required by the Texas state auditors, which of course has become somewhat of an issue occasionally in the past. One other note that I want to really emphasize to the staff that are here present, because Amy really has hired some incredible people. No one likes turnover. To all the staff members, we appreciate your service. We know that each of you is being asked to do service above and beyond, and we thank you for your commitment to the Texas Racing Commission. We, the commissioners, we serve here with no pay and only through our commitment to the agency and its function, and we appreciate what you do every day. And with that said, we'll go to next item on the agenda. I think is public comment number 4. Each member of the public who wishes to make a comment during this period need not identify an agenda item, although they certainly can identify an agenda item that they'd like to speak to. And if you would, each member of the public have 5 minutes to comment during each comment period. David, do we have any requests for public comment? Oh, and we are being simultaneous broadcast, if I didn't mention that, for the first time from the George H.W. Bush building.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do have some comments. Most of them have signed up as resource witnesses and indicated that on here. There are a couple we'll have to determine now.
Okay.
Cheyenne Johnson or Johansson, I can't read the writing. Is that a resource witness or someone who wishes to testify now?
I think she wants to testify with respect to the HIA, and come on up and do it. She was shy, and I told her she ought to do it. So come on up. Let's have the presentation. He's here on behalf of the Quarter Horse Association. Okay. All right, state your name, please.
So my name is Cheyenne Johansson, and I'm with the Texas Quarter Horse Association. I'm the director of show. And today I'm just going to discuss the couple of non-race things that we had applied for, and just how much having the HIA funds has really grown the shows and helped them out. Just to start off with, one of the ones on the list, Hunt County. I actually talked with the lady that puts that show on. Her name is Angie Middleton, yesterday, and we were discussing this coming year, and she was talking about how these funds saved their show. They were fixing to cancel all of them. They put on multiple a year and just quit doing them. And she was talking about how this saved them. So that was something I wanted to share, was how excited they were and that they wanted to say thank you so much. They really appreciate everything that has been done for them. The next thing is the 2 barrel races on the list. I just wanted to discuss how that has impacted those as well, because they're both stallion programs. And so it has helped to bring back breeding in Texas, breeding 2 Texas stallions, and foaling in Texas. So those 2, it has been a huge change from when I started 4 years ago. We had about 20 in the program. We have 60 to 65 in the program now, and continuing to grow as people learn that they need to come back to Texas for their breeding. The next thing I have is on this list is the Stock Horse of Texas. That's another big one. They do multiple shows a year, and this funding has really impacted them. They have grown the membership for Texas Quarter Horse, and they have grown in the shows in themselves to now where they can sustain a little bit better than they were. So those are a couple of the ones that are on this list that I just wanted to go over and let y'all know how much it's impacting and growing those non-race functions and events, as well as we just put on our classic this year that we started 4 years ago back up. And now we are almost at 500 stalls when we started out at about 350. So we just wanted to say thank you so much for the funding and for everything, because it has grown and it's starting to save all these small shows in Texas. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cheyenne. And does anybody have any questions of Cheyenne?
Not a question, but a comment. I've had the opportunity to come out and see the show. She's one of their favorite people because she's the one that comes out with the buckles and the saddles and all the good stuff. But still, taking these shows and making it possible. Number one, that people will come and spend, how much does it cost lately for a 4-horse trailer, plus a truck that can pull it, plus hotel, plus restaurant and clothing? Let me tell you, you got to have the right outfits. If you don't think that small investment to make sure that people have something to shoot for isn't plowing a lot of money back into the economies, a lot of these towns, and these aren't all just big cities. These are some little towns, but having those shows, what a tremendous boost to the economy and just to the entire sport. The selling of horses, they have classes that now, it used to be old horses you could pick up cheap. You can't buy old horses cheap anymore because now they're ranch horses and old ladies like me ride them in those classes. But this has just been such a boon and a relatively small amount of money when you take a look at the big picture of Texas into the economy. Just go to one of these shows and look at the parking lot and just get a wag on how many millions of dollars are parked out there. And you can see that this has been a great investment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And of course, Cheyenne's comments relate to agenda item 9B. All right.
Next is Scott Sherwood on agenda item 7.
All right.
I was told that we were going to do this not in public comment, but I guess
This
we were
is
going to wait till
public
after.
comment.
But no, I mean, we were told that as the agenda items came up, that's when we were going to talk. But I can do it now.
Yep.
Okay. For the record, Scott Sherwood, Director of Racing for the Texas Quarter Horse Association. Appreciate the chance to address the commission. First, like to comment on the rule proposal 313.103. I've made comments about this rule at least at 3 different rule committee meetings and once at a commission meeting, so I believe everyone knows how I feel about this rule. And as I mentioned at the last rules committee meeting, it was a little disappointing that the July meeting was canceled, as I know of quite a few trainers that had planned to come speak out against this rule, including the recently crowned AQHA champion trainer of 2024. The meeting was moved to late August, which was after the closing of Retama, and these trainers were already moving horses to Lone Star Park, making them unavailable to come to that rescheduled meeting. I've not had one trainer or owner tell me they support the changes that are being proposed. That's hundreds of years of racing experience that are against these changes. And the changes I'm referring to are the time formats in between works and racing, the 60-90. Also, at Dr. McNabb's request, researched the workout rules for the other major quarter horse racing jurisdictions and sent them to her. Those being Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, California, and Iowa. And all of those had workout rule timeframes that are the same as what we currently have in Texas. And to quote Dr. Bond from the Sam Houston meeting back in March, quote, "We're sure not perfect, but like they said, our bar is significantly higher than some of the other quarter horse jurisdictions, and our success is higher," end quote, which begs the question, why change the rule? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I would ask that this rule not proceed to publishing in the Texas Register as it is unneeded. And again, that's in relationship to the changing the timeframes. The adding of a schooling race, counting as, or only needing one schooling race in order to enter a race. Pretty much everybody I talked to on that one agree with that rule, that part of the rule change. Also like to comment on 311.1 occupational licenses. If you look at 311.1 A2E1A, it says a licensee would be ineligible for entry or participation until the 90th day after attending the unlicensed race event. I think the word attending should be replaced with participating. I might want to go to a match race to look at a promising horse I may want to purchase, and I should not be told by the racing commission or any agency for that matter that I can or cannot go spectate, as technically match racing is not illegal. I would also like to point out that 311.1A2E2, where it says any horse that has participated in an unlicensed race event or has been found housed in proximity to a horse that has, shall be placed on the veterinarian's list, et cetera, et cetera. Housed in proximity to is very vague. Does that include if I happen to have my horse at a vet clinic for treatment and it is in a stall next to a horse that was at a match racing track? Does that include if I have my horses at a training center and my neighbor takes his horses to a match track and then brings the horses back to the training center that we're both stabled at? So I think the housed in proximity to a horse that has should be defined a little better. And last, 311.1A2E3, which states any licensee with knowledge of a horse participating in an unlicensed race event, A, shall disclose the name of the horse to the commission in order to protect the animal from cruel and inhumane treatment. I think that opens the door to the possibility of false reports of seeing horses at the match tracks in order to get horses scratched from races. And positively identifying those horses would have to be done in order to accomplish that. So thank you, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks.
I have Brian Pettigrew listed, and are you a resource witness, Brian? Okay.
Brian, is there an agenda item you're speaking to? Okay.
This is in regards to the Brian Pettigrew, Sam Houston Race Park and Rotama Park. Just wanted to urge the commission to help us come to an agreement on the HIEA 30. We've had several meetings with the industry. The Arabian Association has not agreed on the percentage splits that we've submitted. Everyone, the rest of the industry agreed on those splits. We've also had, as I mentioned, several meetings, and we've made some concessions. Lone Star Park is going to allow the Arabians to be racing during their thoroughbred meet. This is one of the first times that's going to take place. So we've tried to work on an agreement and just been unable to, and I would urge you guys, as we're planning our 2026 season, to help us come to an agreement on that today so we can set our race dates, set our purses, and all of our get all of our marketing materials out to horsemen to attract top horsemen to Texas. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, I just have a question. So originally y'all proposed that they be completely out. Are you now allocating some amount to the Arabians? And is it similar to the amount from last year?
It is the same as last year.
Okay.
We went up a couple $100,000, I think 225,000 They didn't want to accept that, so we went back to the original status quo
Okay.
amount.
I'm sure we'll hear from Gerald about this in a few minutes, and thank you very much.
Mhm.
The remaining comment cards that I have are all listed as resource witnesses: Tracy Sheffield, Pancho Villarreal, Erlinda Fleming, and Rob Wersler.
Our next public comments now closed. Our next agenda item is item 5, staff reports, beginning with the executive director report. Are you going to be giving Amy's report today?
We won't have a report from her, so we can move on to Aaron's.
All right, Aaron Grigsby, please. Deputy Executive Director.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman Pate. For the record, my name is Aaron Grigsby, Deputy Executive Director of the Texas Racing Commission. I'm going to brief everybody on just what I hopefully you'll find a few interesting bits of information regarding our equine drug testing program. So if you could pull up my first slide here. So if you could call your attention, I'm just going to brief 2 slides. This is the first one of it. And I want to discuss a snapshot picture of what our equine drug testing results are revealing. This slide's about a week old. Obviously, it changes with incoming test result information, but I wanted to provide just a real quick snapshot on what the Racing Commission team is detecting and what the industry faces regarding the illicit use and administration of substances in racehorses. So I'm sure everybody can see it's on multiple screens. What we'll do is we'll start off with kind of the bottom. Obviously, the pharmacodynamics, big fancy word, on how we kind of slated everything at the bottom and kind of pie charted everything is a bit of an oversimplification. The eagle eyes in the audience and perhaps on the dais with the veterinarian might point out that some of the beta agonists also have a steroidal function. Some of the stimulants also have a blood pressure function, but trying to stick with just the core purpose of the drug and pie chart it out that way. So you can see, obviously, we still have a few issues with your steroids, testosterone, boldenone. Those seem to be the 2 prevalent ones that we face amongst others. Kind of going up the pie chart to the green, we do have some detections for everything from the illicit type of stimulants like D-methamphetamine, which are purely illegal in the state of Texas, doesn't matter if it's human or racehorse, into some of the other stimulant products like phentermine, mephentermine, things like that. Even modafinil is also another thing that we pick up with regularity. So just get everybody a snapshot on kind of the stimulant category on that. And moving up, you've got the NSAIDs and some blood pressure medications. You've got a handful of them, but we did see a spike in diisopropylamine here recently. So just advisory on that for anybody that may be using some sort of off-the-shelf product that has diisopropylamine contaminants in it. Moving on to the 15%, that kind of purple category, or pink, depending on how you look at it. So those are going to be the pain medications and corticosteroids. So this is your pain injury management category. So we do have a pretty good chunk on that. Largest pie chart. And then we move on to the beta agonist. You can see the line share in that slide. By far, this is one of the biggest problems that we face on the detection methods is the beta agonist category. So I want to kind of brief everything in totality on what we're looking at as I move into the next slide, please. So on this next slide, I'd like a chance to preface what General Counsel David Holmes is going to discuss on a different agenda item regarding an upcoming State Office of Administrative Hearings decision related to a long-term investigation into new performance-enhancing substances. Now, carmoterol was a problematic beta agonist plaguing the race industry for years leading up to the fall meet of 2024. Its use dropped to 0 in 2025 once we unlocked the lab detection methods and sequencing correctly. But unfortunately, we backdated positive samples for carmoterol well before 2024, going back, taking a look at our race samples from previous races, indicating it's been a problem for the integrity of racing in many states for quite some time. In 2025, we'd all hoped for a clean year of running races without novel performance-enhancing drugs. Trainers came out of planned retirement, so I hear, and sales and registrations picked up. And then some reports started coming in. Unusual post-race symptoms in placing horses, heat casualties. So concerns mounted, I think, for a number of people in this room. We got to work alongside UC Davis. Our investigative team started investigating some new substances in early 2025. I won't ask Commissioner McNabb to name off the fancy exact title there at the bottom of the slide, so I'll spare everybody on that and let you know what the brand name is for this molecular substance right here, and that is olodaterol. It is another ultra beta agonist. Now, behind me, a few industry members are probably looking at each other, nodding. Yes, this is the same substance that was recently detected in Louisiana during a pre-race AQHA testing. Industrial labs beat us to the punch a little bit in the detection sequence, but we were already holding samples in 2025 as we took a look at this particular molecule. The investigative team is going to be reaching out to a few trainers here shortly because we do now have confirmed positives for olodaterol going back to early 2025 samples, a number of them. Reminding everyone again of the first pie chart that I briefed, we do have an industry problem, I think, with beta agonists as a performance-enhancing substance. I want to leave everybody with this note. We're learning rapidly. Testing equipment is improving in leaps. Detection methods, technology, research is improving. AI analytics are on the horizon. We're already talking about them at a laboratory level. Just last night, as an addition to what I was going to talk about, I learned that the Carmodorol sequencing is going to be a prime theme at the upcoming International Conference of Racing Analysts and Veterinarians. That's going to be in Melbourne, Australia. So you've got an international consortium of individuals that are going to be learning about Carmodorol and now olodaterol. So again, the lab industry is learning rapidly. So let me go ahead and save some people a bit of effort in 2026 who may be talking to certain nefarious former veterinarians promising the next undetectable substance. I advise anyone against using the next new thing. I learned during my career at DPS that the highest accomplishment in enforcement was achieving voluntary compliance. It's the absence of finding violations or unfair practices. So in that spirit, I'll ask the industry to spread the cautionary word about using substances like these in 2026, and I'll just go ahead and name off a few of them that we've already been working on. Don't do it. Formoterol, Indicaterol, Dobutamine, Phenoterol, Abiraterol, Purebuterol, Vilanterol, Bifenolol, Terbutaline, Bitolterol, Celiprolol, Isoproterenol. We're learning. So there are a few more new ones that only had chemical names, like on that other slide, that I guess were in research at laboratories. And ironically, I had to rely on our Italian staff member back here, Daniela, to translate some equine research governmental studies from Italian, and I can't definitely pronounce those, but we're also adding those and watching. In closing, I would like to again thank many members of the racing community who approach us in confidence. This year we had more tips, photos of vials, photos of syringes, investigative suggestions, anonymous calls, people coming up and just being concerned about the overall status of horse racing, more than I've seen in the years that I've been here. The industry wants a fair shot at racing. It won't survive if we have a group of small horses that are capturing the lion's share of purses using performance-enhancing drugs and then the subsequent breeding and sales proceeds. We hear you. We thank you for your efforts in helping us root out some of this. Commissioners, our ongoing efforts in the test barn led by the chief veterinarian, our partnership with UC Davis on not only the testing, but the research of illicit compounds, and the hiring of seasoned investigators in 2023, and the constant work of our general counsel team has paid off. The Texas Racing Commission remains vigilant regarding the integrity of racing and ensuring the health of fair treatment of animals. This concludes my presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you very much, Aaron. I really appreciate your work and the work of your team. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Good morning. Commissioners, I'm Zach Flores. Haley Ruiz and I are your government relations officers for the Texas Racing Commission. The 89th regular legislative session concluded this past May. There are also 2 additional special sessions over the summer. The Racing Commission monitored those closely, but the subject matter did not acutely involve our agency. This presentation that we're about to share will highlight the lawmakers' priorities from this past session, as well as our finalized budget for the 2026-2027 biennium, bills that impact our operations, bills that would have directly impacted the racing industry, and we'll finish with current legislative updates as well as a preview of some of our priorities going into the 90th session in 2027. Much of what we're presenting today is in the printed handout that we have shared with each of you. Haley?
Thank you, Zach, and good morning, commissioners. My name is Haley Ruiz, and I handle risk and compliance for government relations. Before we dive into specific bills, I want to set the stage by talking about the big themes that define the 89th legislative session. First, there is a strong focus on government efficiency, making sure agencies are operating with transparency, accountability, and measurable results. Second, lawmakers emphasize scrutiny of spending, especially in areas such as the HIEA. They want to ensure taxpayer dollars are being used wisely, with oversight and return on investment clearly demonstrated. And lastly, there is growing attention on emerging technologies such as cybersecurity and AI. Agencies were called to strengthen protections against cybersecurity and think critically about how AI is used in state governments. With those priorities in mind, we will walk through some of the major bills that came out of this session. In the next slide, Zach will discuss Senate Bill 1, otherwise known as the General Appropriations Bill.
Thank you. And commissioners, just so you're aware, you have the next 3 slides printed out for you, just bigger if you'd like to review them, as it has to do with a lot of financial figures. This slide shows the finalized budget for the Racing Commission for fiscal years 2026 and 2027. Over the biennium, the Racing Commission received $4.9 million in general revenue, which is 20% of our total budget. Our funding increased for staff salaries and drug testing programs. $8.4 million in general revenue dedicated account, which of course is appropriated to us from the fees that we collect from licensing, regulatory fees, fines, penalties, and wagering revenue. The $2 million a year for the Texas Bred Incentive Fund still appears in our bill pattern, but as you're aware, that's just an escrow account that does not provide any resources for agency operations. It's also important to note that the Texas Bred Fund decreased by $500,000 due to the comptroller's revenue projections. $1.16 million per year is in reimbursable appropriated receipts for racetrack reimbursements for racehorse medication and drug testing costs. I want to note that our reimbursement authority for drug testing was increased to better cover the higher costs for drug testing through UC Davis. Bottom line, we have $5.7 million per year in our operating budget. This does not include funds for the Texas Bred program, HIEA, or receipts. Next slide, please. This slide shows the overall trends from last biennium to this one. The overall total funds, including the Texas Bred and appropriated receipts, increased from $18.3 million to $18.9 million, which is a 3.44% increase. Over the biennium, the general revenue saw an increase of $1.2 million, whereas GR dedicated decreased by $2.5 million. Full-time equivalents, FTEs allocated, remained at the same level from the previous biennium, but as you'll see on the next slide, we were appropriated the funds to be able to utilize all 57 FTEs. Next slide, please. Here's a listing of the budget exceptional items that the Racing Commission proposed to the legislature. We previously presented these to the commissioners before session started. As I alluded to on the last slide, the Racing Commission's #1 exceptional item was to fully fund the appropriated 57.3 FTEs. This was almost fully granted through an increase in general appropriation dollars for indirect administration. The agency's other exceptional items were granted as follows. Item 4 was partially funded at $160,000 towards the purchase of vehicles from the supplemental budget. Item 5 was fully funded at $238,000 to drug and evidence mobile trailers. Item 8 was partially funded at $2.3 million per year, or $4.6 million for the biennium for the procurement of forensic laboratory services. And the items with figures in red received no funding. Haley?
I will now discuss 2 major law enforcement bills that directly impact the Texas Racing Commission. First, Senate Bill 1637 creates an exception for peace officers when they are engaged in the actual discharge of their official duties and reasonably believe that their conduct is necessary or justified. The bill protects law enforcement by treating firearm pointing as inherently risky while respecting officers' duties. Second, House Bill 33 requires all law enforcement and school districts to have coordinated active shooter response plans. It mandates annual training and multi-agency drills to ensure readiness. Under the Texas Commission of Law Enforcement, there are universal practices for all law enforcement agencies that are in place. The Texas Racing Commission follows these guidelines. This law ensures that no one is left unprepared. Every agency must train, plan, and act together. On to Zach for our next subject, cybersecurity.
Thank you. So with the emergence of AI in most business spaces, the legislature has been contemplating applications in state government. Accordingly, they sought to clarify and put boundaries on and limits on AI's use in state government. House Bill 149 establishes regulations on the responsible use of AI and requires state agencies to cooperate with the Attorney General on enforcing penalties on their licensees who violate AI policies if the Attorney General deems it necessary. House Bill 1500 will see the creation of a new optional training specifically for agency leaders on IT procurement and requires all agencies to submit information on data governance. House Bill 2818 establishes an AI division within the Department of Information Resources to assist any state agencies in implementing generative AI technology applications. Next slide, please. So now we have House Bill 3512, which requires annual AI training for state employees to go along with our cybersecurity training. House Bill 5195 requires state agencies to modernize their websites and other web applications to remove unnecessary paperwork where possible. And Senate Bill 1964 establishes a framework for AI in state and local government and requires state agencies to conduct impact assessments for certain AI systems and provide the disclosure to the public whenever they interact with an AI application. Haley?
I will now discuss 3 government efficiency bills that impact the agency. First, Senate Bill 14 establishes the Texas Regulatory Office within the Office of the Governor and imposes requirements on rulemaking for greater public transparency. The office assists state agencies to find and fix old, redundant, or costly rules. Second, Senate Bill 1818 facilitates the integration of military service members, veterans, and their spouses into the workforce by authorizing the issuance of provisional licenses. The provisional license would expire once the full application is approved or denied, or after 180 days, whichever comes first. Lastly, House Bill 5196 requires state agencies to exercise the option to create an agency telework plan. Currently, the Texas Racing Commission has a telework policy in place, meaning we would need to enter into formal agreements with employees and work with them to create a telework plan as described by the bill. The plan would also include employee evaluation criteria and performance standards. Zach will now discuss the Public Information Act.
So these next bills impact government transparency, particularly around public information requests. SB 765 would exempt information on fraud detection and deterrence from being released in response to a public information request. This, of course, would be helpful to the agency as it relates to our investigations. House Bill 4214 requires all agencies to designate a physical and email address to receive public information requests, submitting it to the Attorney General's office, which we have already done on behalf of the agency. House Bill 4219 imposes more strict requirements for responding to public information requests, particularly if we determine to withhold information. If an agency makes a mistake in that withholding, the public information officer would be required to take open records training. Just want to note that all Texas Racing Commission employees already do receive annual open records training. And finally, House Bill 5219 adds protections for the release of personal identifying information. It would prohibit state agencies from disseminating the information of occupational license holders without a written consent and requires agencies to keep the record of that consent. Next slide, please. Here are a few bills that will impact agency procurement. Senate Bill 1364 allows greater flexibility in vehicle procurement by eliminating just some of the requirements related to wheelbase length and net horsepower. Basically allows greater flexibility in choosing the best vehicle for the agency. House Bill 5061 prohibits unauthorized surveillance prohibits unauthorized surveillance activities by state vendors. What it would mean for us is that agencies will need to check a list of violators prepared by the Comptroller's Office before entering into a contract with a potential vendor. And finally, House Bill 3623 simply updates our procurement procedures to no longer allow contract solicitations by telegraph. Next slide, please. And then just here's a summary of some of the more important requirements for the Racing Commission from all the bills that we've presented this morning, along with our progress for implementation. We're currently evaluating all new laws to see how the agency can best implement them. Highlights include evaluating our existing rule 16 TAC 311.2 to ensure military members and spouses can receive provisional licenses under SB 1818, starting a annual AI training around March 2026, and undergoing an efficiency audit during the FY 2026 under House Bill 12, which I will circle back to in an upcoming slide. Haley?
Here are 4 pieces of legislation that would have directly impacted the Texas Racing Commission if they passed. While these bills did not become law, they highlight areas where lawmakers and stakeholders are paying close attention. First, House Bill 5013 and House Bill 4757 similarly would have prohibited live greyhound racing or other dog racing in Texas. The difference is that House Bill 5013 would have phased out the greyhound industry while maintaining the regulatory framework of horse racing, whereas House Bill 4757 would have abolished the Texas Bred Incentive Fund. The other 2 filed bills, House Bill 2575 and Senate Bill 1989, both focused on the horse industry escrow account. House Bill 2575 would have done 2 things. One, it would have eliminated certain tax proceeds deposited into the HIEA, and it would have eliminated the allocation of the HIEA, whereas Senate Bill 1989 would have refocused the Texas Racing Commission's financial activities from supporting horse racing purses and events to a more defined law enforcement role. While not affected, the Commission's regulatory updates reflect ongoing efforts to enhance oversight and accountability in the management of HIEA funds. It would also require administrative adjustments and adherence to newly established financial parameters. The Texas Racing Commission is proactive in addressing these issues and stands ready to work with the legislature on responsible solutions for next session. Zach will now talk about current legislative developments.
Thank you, Haley. Next slide, please. We've got 2 legislative developments that we'd like to brief you on. The first is related to the reemergence of the New World screwworm in northern Mexico and the state and federal response to this emerging issue as it gets closer to the Texas border. So far, there have been just positive cases in cattle in Mexico, south of the border, no cases involving any livestock in Texas. There have been no equine positives anywhere as well. Along the border in Texas, there's been about 17,000 flies that have been trapped and evaluated. None of those have been screwworm species. First, a recap on the danger of screwworms. They lay eggs on the edges of open wounds of livestock, wildlife, and even humans. Their larvae burrow into the wounds and they feed for 3 to 7 days, cause extensive tissue damage. Containment efforts are mainly in the disbursement of sterile screwworms, as it was in the 1960s during the last infestation. That picture in the slide there is a sterile screwworm fly that would be used for this kind of exercise. We're aware that the Texas Department of Agriculture and the Animal Health Commission have been at the forefront of this response, working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture on containment and eradication measures. The Racing Commission is cooperating with these and other agencies to have up-to-date information on the response and to be aware of any important developments that may impact the horse industry. There was a call this morning that with the Animal Health Commission just sharing updates that there are 2 facilities under construction by the USDA in Texas. One will focus on sterile fly creation up to 300 million per week, and the other will focus on sterile fly disbursement up to 100 million per week. Next slide, please. The other update I wanted to share with y'all is about the House Bill 12 audit that I mentioned earlier. House Bill 12 strengthens how the sunset and oversight process works for regulatory agencies. So agencies like us that have that issue licenses, with the idea that the legislature may act before the agency's full sunset review. So in that pre-sunset review action includes a required efficiency audit for all state agencies. We were told by the state auditor's office that we'll be the first batch of agencies to be audited sometime in fiscal year 2026, which we just entered. The exact timeframes have not yet been released, but we're preparing for it. That efficiency audit will evaluate whether a state agency is using its resources like money, staff, equipment, as economically and effectively as possible. It will also identify waste, overlaps with other programs, and whether the agency is meeting its goals and missions. We recently completed an audit on the horse industry escrow account, and that's an example of something that will be one of the first things that the SAO will look at, along with other audits that we've conducted. We welcome the audit to showcase the great work our agency has been doing and how we responsibly handle taxpayer dollars. Back to Haley.
We will wrap up by addressing the agency's initiatives for next session. We are committed to engagement with lawmakers to build support and understanding. Our solution is to provide lunch and learn opportunities, both in the interim and during session, to educate legislators, staff, and the public about the agency's priorities. We will also emphasize our successes and milestones while welcoming change. We are an adaptive agency, and we encourage the upcoming efficiency audit. We have a great story to tell, and in doing so, we can strengthen our relationships with legislators and industry professionals. During the lunch and learn sessions and in meetings with Capitol staff, we will highlight the industry's economic contributions and continue to advocate for additional FTEs and competitive salaries for veterinarians. A strong workforce is critical for delivering on Texas's regulatory mission. Without it, efficiency and accountability will suffer. Additionally, we want to proactively identify, manage, and mitigate regulatory and operational risks. Moving forward, the Commission will adopt efficient, confidential reporting mechanisms. Finally, we will continue practicing and ensuring the highest standards of care for racehorses, which will include enhancing partnerships with animal aftercare services. This will give owners the peace of mind that their horses will be treated with the utmost respect, along with the deep understanding of the emotional connection between horse owners and their beloved animals. To conclude, commissioners, staff, and industry professionals, saddle up. The 90th legislative session convenes in 461 days, 0 hours, 41 minutes, and 42 seconds. The government relations team is off to the races. We are ready to serve Texans and serve them well. Thank you.
Thank you both. What an excellent report. Really appreciate that on a number of levels. I only wish we were not live streaming because I just have this suspicion that some other agency with better resources will come in and swipe them from us. So we don't want that to happen. We want you committed through the next session. One area that I am concerned about, and I don't know, other commissioners might have too, but I want y'all to put it on your list of things, and you have a long list. I have spoken to, in the governor's office, I have spoken to legislators, I've spoken to lobbyists. I do not understand why we cannot get the some $5 or $6 million that the Texas Greyhound Association is holding of monies that sourced from horses, sourced from horse payments through our the sliver money that was peeled off to them back to be used for the horse industry. Last session or session before last, we were forbidden or prevented statutorily from regulating greyhound. There is no greyhound racing in Texas. In fact, I don't think there's any greyhound racing in the United States except for maybe West Virginia. I may be wrong on that. So I really would appreciate y'all giving, make sure you're familiar with that issue and prepare some kind of a one-sheeter on it so that when you make your rounds, I would really appreciate that becoming something talked about. What I've learned is $5 or $6 million is kind of budget dust and nobody gets real excited about it. It's a lot of money to this agency and it would be a lot of money for our horse industry if somehow we redirected it in a way that was, appropriate, but utilizing the funds. Anyway, that's just my one comment. Does anybody else have any comments?
I'm thrilled to have a team of such professionals. We've been doing the best we can, but now we've got the A team. So being able to understand the process and have the eyes and ears and, actually work the process. Because if we wait until those 492 days to start, we've learned the hard way, it doesn't happen. So we're thrilled to have you. There are things that we do need, obviously we do need the help and we look forward to working with you. Make it happen.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah, thank you. All right. David, does that complete the staff reports?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, let's go on now to agenda item 6A, which is a proposal for decision in SOAH number 47625-13726. David Holmes, our general counsel, will present this agenda item.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm David Holmes, the General Counsel of the Texas Racing Commission, and I'll give you just a touch of background on how we get here today for your consideration of this item. When we fully discovered the number of carmoterol positives that we had at the end of last year, the agency issued a summary suspension against the licensee, two licensees who had the number of those carmoterol positives. And carmoterol is a beta agonist, one of the drugs that Aaron was talking about a moment ago. After that summary suspension, they have a hearing in front of the stewards, and then they have the ability to appeal that hearing or that ruling. That appeal goes to the State Office of Administrative Hearings, and an administrative law judge there hears that appeal in a full hearing and then issues their proposal for decision. Today, that proposal for decision comes before you, and I'm going to describe what's in it. And your choices after this description are to adopt the proposal for decision, which would uphold the steward's summary suspension. You can decline to adopt that proposal for decision in whole or in part, or you can remand the proceeding to SOA and direct the ALJ to give further consideration to the proceeding with or without reopening the hearing. What the PFD does, you can go to the next slide. It upholds the Board of Stewards ruling that the summarily suspended trainer Toby Keaton's license and denied him access to all commission regulated areas pending a hearing on the merits. The ALJ listed the following facts. Horses trained by Mr. Keaton returned over 20 positive results for beta agonist carmoterol and D-methamphetamine during the Lone Star Park meet in the fall of 2024. A split sample for one horse also confirmed the positive result for carmoterol. The stewards found and the SOA judge upheld that the positive tests for carmoterol amounted to a risk to the betting public, horse welfare, purse distribution, and wagering integrity. At the hearing regarding the summary suspension before the stewards, the agency presented documentary evidence and testimony, and the licensee cross-examined agency witnesses and presented 2 witnesses of their own. And you can go to you're on the next slide. The findings by the SOA administrative law judge was that there was no clear error by the stewards in the consideration of the positive test letters, reliance on the chain of custody of drug samples, authorization of UC Davis to test the samples, support for the summary suspension does not require the split samples on every positive, and that the summary suspension and stewards upholding of that suspension was within the steward's authority. And the ALJ listed these conclusions of law that jurisdiction confirmed that jurisdiction proper notice, trainer duties, prohibited status of beta agonists and methamphetamine, prima facie effect of the lab positives, and the clear error burden which the appellant did not meet. And on the last slide on this, that leaves that the commission now is in the position of of either adopting or declining or sending this back to SOA. Our rules do allow that Mr. Keaton or his representatives can request to address the commission on the adoption of this PFD, and we have received no request.
Are they present? Mr. Keaton here or his attorney or an attorney representing him? No one? No one responds. Okay.
So with that, the staff recommends adopting the proposal for decision, which upholds the steward's ruling of the summary suspension of Mr. Keaton.
Any discussion?
Make a motion to adopt the proposal for decision upholding the steward ruling.
Motion made by Commissioner Mock,
A second.
seconded by Commissioner McNabb. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, going on to item 7A, the discussion and possible action to publish proposed rule amendments in the Texas Register. Commissioner McNabb, you've been chairing the Rules Commission, and we had I thought some cogent remarks with respect to 16 TAC 301.1 as well as 16 TAC 313.103 as proposed to be published. Could you respond to those, please?
Yes, sir. Regarding the workout times, and Aaron, you work with Dr. Bond, so this falls within the operations. My understanding is we did discuss this at length. We took in all the information that Scott reached out and provided, and I forwarded it to that team. Everyone sat down and for what Dr. Bond has been looking at and his vet team, so that we can have the most effective eyes on, still allow the races to go forward. But he felt very strongly, and as did our operations team, that we had dates. Yes, they're different than other states, but we're not obligated to follow those other states. We're obligated to try to protect the health and welfare of the racing animals as well as the participants.
This is on the eligibility requirement 313.103.
I'm sorry.
And so what is that? What is our current date and what is being proposed in the rule?
And I will go over those details.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the,
Okay.
I haven't memorized them. On, well, do you want to just go down?
We can go down.
I
just
can
go down
comment
order.
as we
I'll
go
let you-
each, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I did read it last night, but I didn't stay at Holiday Inn.
This slide just explains the rules committee process. You've probably seen this slide before. If anybody here wants to know more about that process, we're happy to talk to you about it, share this slide. You can go on to the next slide. This just shows the rules that I'm about to talk about. So the first of the proposed rule changes is to Texas Administrative Code 16 TAC 3011. The purpose of this rule amendment is to define the terms practicing veterinarian and unlicensed racing event. Previously, only chief and association veterinarians were defined, and there are vets other than those types at the track, so this acknowledges that. The commission is responsible for regulating all aspects of horse racing in Texas, regardless of whether that racing involves parimutuel wagering, as authorized by Occupations Code 2023-001. To ensure transparency, the definition of an unlicensed race event is being placed in the rules to make the public aware of the types of events with which the Racing Commission will partner with local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to stop illegal activity. If you'll have any questions on that rule proposal.
That's the rule. Isn't that the rule that contains the language that was objected to, the attending versus participating in?
That will be a rule that uses the definition in this rule. So it's a separate one that I'll
All right, great.
The second proposed rule change is to Rule 307.62, disciplinary hearings. This proposal authorizes hearings to be conducted either by a panel of 3 stewards or an individual steward, and outlines the assignment of cases between the 2 panels. The proposal also removes references to greyhound racing in the subtitle heading and in the text of the rule. To move cases faster and to make the most efficient use of limited resources, we propose having live race violations, summary suspensions, and other similar matters with a panel of 3, and a single steward hearing cases having to do with device and drug violations, licensing, and other administrative violations. The proposal includes the ability for a licensee or the agency to request to have a hearing moved to a panel different than the default. It provides notice to the licensee of who will hear the case and otherwise leaves the hearings to be conducted as they are now. Are there any questions on that rule?
Just a comment, by adding in this administrative steward, this has really shortened the time that cases are heard, decisions made, and people moving forward, rather than the 3 stewards who are also trying to work the races and fit everything in. So from where I sit, this looks like this really is responsive to the industry, let people get an answer as to the question and able to move on, and gives us a capability without hindering all of the other duties of the 3 racing stewards at the meet. They still have hearings, but this helps clear that docket and keep things moving in a timely fashion.
Yes, and one thing that we're very conscious of is the amount of time it takes for purses to be paid. That's not just having to do with this, but this is one step in in eliminating or diminishing some of those delays. Okay, thank you. The third proposed rule change is to Rule 309.282, living quarters for licensees. The purpose of this rule amendment is to address feedback from the State Fire Marshal's Office regarding appropriate fire inspection standards. This rule change enables the standards to be updated over time without additional rule changes, and allows our rules aligns our rules with the expectations of the State Fire Marshal Office, including National Fire Protection Act 150, which specifically addresses the horse racing industry, or the horse industry. Any questions on that? The fourth proposed rule change is to Rule 311.1, occupational licenses, and this is the one that uses that definition from the first rule I addressed. The purpose of this rule amendment is to protect the safety and integrity of licensed horse racing by regulating the licensed activity of licensees who participate in unlicensed racing. It is estimated that the number of unlicensed tracks outnumbers licensed tracks by a 10-to-1 ratio in Texas. The proposal would prohibit licensees from attaining a commission license for 90 days after having been found to have participated in an unlicensed racing event. For a horse that participates in an unlicensed race event, it also creates a 90-day prohibition from entering into live racing or official works, as well as even having presence at a licensed facility. Those horses and others housed in their proximity will be placed on a veterinarian's list, and the proposal creates requirements for the horse to meet following the period on the vet's list to re-enter racing and those other activities. And the current rules against prohibited devices would also apply to devices used at unlicensed racing events. Any questions on that rule?
I will, Scott, I think you bring up some valid objections that if it just turns into hearsay and people are starting to, get snapshots off of their computers watching, match racing that is going on an unlicensed track. So I think that, if indeed action is going to be taken, it has to meet, very solid requirements of what is true evidence that can be accountable. The other side is if indeed a sheriff or a district attorney and they do conduct a raid and there are people who are positively identified at the unlicensed racing, there we do have, we mean an evidentiary standard. That's big. That's a big term for a non-lawyer. But I'm looking at my top cop here. So I think, if indeed we need to make sure that we include or in our processes that there have to be solid evidentiary standards. But if indeed a horse is positively identified from one of these actions that are initiated by other law enforcement agencies who then ask us to support them as an interagency support, we're not the lead ever on those kinds of things. But the kinds of medications that are commonly used on those animals have got long residual periods. There are known infectious diseases, not just EIA, but pyroplasmosis and other things that are spread by people, not so much biting flies. They're spread by people who, in a lot of these situations are going from horse to horse to horse. So that's where, if indeed there is a horse that is positively identified and meets those evidentiary standards, we don't want to say, oh, yeah, sure, bring them down. We want to make sure they're clean. Whatever the medications that they were on to compete, whatever those people thought they had to have there, are out of that horse's system, that the horse has recovered, because a lot of those drugs, they make a horse look like King Kong while he's on it, but you take them off and they deflate. There's a lot of bad sequela, bad medical things. This isn't just a matter of you give a horse a drug, he runs fast, he wins a person, nothing happened. You put something into an animal, there's an effect. And sometimes they're very long effects. So I do hear what you're saying. We don't want to just have hearsay and, people wagging fingers at each other. But when there is solid evidentiary standards that people have participated in unlicensed racing, it is our due diligence to make sure that number one, we're protecting the horses as they're coming in, and we're protecting the other, that we're protecting the field. We're also protecting the betting public. If a horse is a race hardened horse because he's been out on the circuit and then able to come in and compete, and as a first time starter, then the public, who's the $2 bettor at the window, has been defrauded. So evidentiary standards, I think, need to be very strict, and I hear what you're saying, but also we have to acknowledge that these activities go on, and they do have a very negative interface if indeed the same people and the same horses are trying to participate in the sport that we regulate. So Scott, I hear you, but I think I'm not going to just say, never mind, because I think there's very important questions we need to answer. So thank you.
And we do, during the comment period on these rules while they're in the register, want to work with the industry, hear from any feedback that they have. We worked hard on trying to get the definition, for instance, of an unlicensed racing event correct. I think our first draft, somebody might have interpreted it as outlawing barrel racing. We don't want to impact any other legitimate practice. And so we want, as we try to address and face this real problem, to get it right and do it in the best way possible. The fifth, any other comments on that one or questions? The fifth proposed rule changes are to 311-104 trainers. The proposal removes obsolete references to greyhounds and racing judges where appropriate, deletes a section allowing trainers without a license to enter a horse under some circumstances, and requires that a deceased horse may not be removed from the grounds until cleared by a commissioned vet. That last part just gets to a problem we've had a few times when that has occurred.
It's not just a matter of holding things up. If indeed a horse has been given a substance that then precipitated the horse's death, we want to have the option of pulling samples on that deceased horse before that carcass is hauled off to the rendering plant.
Any other questions on that rule or comments? Okay. The sixth proposed rule change is to 311-109 mutual employees. This amendment is intended to support the integrity of pari-mutuel operations by ensuring that applicants for mutual licenses provide standardized background information for review by the executive director or a designee. We've just had a few instances where we have had licensees in these positions who a regular background check didn't catch some things that were very significant to the operation of this job. We just want to make sure we're considering all the information we can get. Any other questions on that? And the seventh, I guess we've got 8. So the seventh is to 313-103 eligibility requirements. The amendments update entry eligibility requirements by shortening certain workout timeframes and clarifying where qualifying published works and schooling or training races must occur. The proposal is intended to improve equine safety, ensure current fitness before entry, and promote the orderly conduct of horse racing in Texas. For first-time starters, the proposal shortens the windows for required published workouts before entry from 90 and 60 days to 75 and 35 days, and clarifies that published works must occur at a licensed Texas racetrack, and any schooling or training race used in lieu of published works must occur in Texas. For horses resuming racing, the proposal shortens the time frame for a qualifying start or published workout before entry from 60 to 45 days. It requires a vet exam for horses returning after more than a year, and requires executive director approval if a horse has not raced in 24 months. Any questions on that one?
And we've been working on this for some time. This has been worked very hard at our staff level. You are certainly welcome to make comment as it goes forward, but we feel very strongly to put this forward at this time, and then we'll work this process.
And the final rule proposal to go into the Texas Register at this meeting is 313.113, pre-race stapling. This proposal would authorize the executive director to require an owner or trainer to stable all horses participating in a race meet on the grounds of the association and/or place all horses in a designated barn the day before the day of a scheduled race if any horses of the owner or trainer have tested positive for a prohibited substance in any jurisdiction more than once in the past 5 years. Currently, all responsibility for the horses falls onto trainers with very few consequences for owners, particularly those owners who have a method of drugging a horse that may not involve the trainer. The trainer should remain responsible, but the rule-breaking owners should face more scrutiny, and this amendment is a step in that direction.
This is particularly the high level of haul-ins, plus indeed if we have folks who don't go to the assigned stalls, this gives us an opportunity. Where is that horse going to be? If the horse does not go to the stall that they're supposed to be, then we cannot do our due diligence. Industry-wide, worldwide, this is getting to be tighter and tighter. There are some racetracks where they've got facial recognition cameras on all barns at all times. We're not there yet. Try Japan. I understand they've got quite a system. But this cuts down on the haul-in, hauling a horse in and then handing it off, and a trainer could wind up in the trick bag because something else has been given to the horse when they stopped up at the gas station. So this gives us the eyes on, and this is just the basic assurance of the integrity of racing.
So let me understand though, these rules have all gone through the Rules Committee. It came out proposal, and this is just publishing in the Texas Register. You can make comments after that point in time. We'll have a comment period. Is there any further discussion of the publication of these proposed rule amendments?
I move approval of the publication of the proposed rules in the Texas Register for comment.
All right, there's a motion made by Commissioner Mott to publish the proposed rule amendments 1 through 8 as listed in the agenda to the Texas Register. Is there a second? A second by Commissioner Waite. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now go to agenda item 8A. I think Gerald Lawrence will be presenting this item. Good morning, Gerald.
Gerald Lawrence, Chief of Staff, Texas Racing Commission. Go ahead, next slide, please. So this is the 172 live race dates requested by the three tracks, and to include Gillespie, so it's 4 tracks. So staff recommendations to approve all 172 live race dates for 2026 calendar year, starting in January. As you see, they'll start their training in December, of course, for Sam Houston. So don't mind that on the slide, but it's January through December of 2026.
All right, these are all agreed to by the tracks, right? All right. Commissioners, y'all have any questions for Gerald on this? If there's no further discussion, the chair would now entertain a motion on staff's recommendation on allocation of live race dates for racetracks for 2026 through 2020. Is it through 2030? Is that correct?
It's 2026 calendar year, January through December.
Only the one. All right, calendar year. Thank you. Under the Texas Racing Act, Occupational Code, Chapter 2029, 16 Texas Administrative Code 303.41 and 42.
So move.
Second.
Motion by McNabb, seconded by Mock. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to item 9A, breed registry proceedings. Gerald Lawrence will be presenting this agenda item.
Next slide, please. This is the Texas bred allocation as agreed upon by the breed registries and the tracks. Recommend approval. They've all signed the agreement and recommend approval by the commissioners.
All right.
There's been no change from 25 to 26. All
right. Does anybody have any questions of Gerald on this particular agenda item?
Mr. Pettigrew, do we have agreement?
No.
Do we not?
No.
Or is that not this?
You're talking about the wrong thing.
Okay.
This is the breed registry.
Okay.
Yes, the Accredited Texas Bred Fund.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
And
If there's no further discussion, the chair will now entertain a motion on staff's recommendation to approve Texas Bred Incentive Program allocation for fiscal year 2026 under Texas Occupations Code, Section 2030-03 and 16 TAC 321.505.
So move.
Second.
Motion by McNabb, seconded by Mock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Agenda item 9B, this is the horse industry escrow account. This is the item to which I think Brian Pettigrew made reference to. Gerald, you're going to present this item?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So these are the next four slider for each breed registry. This is for something they don't have a signed
Let
agreement
me ask
on.
you this. I was told there was an agreement.
This is the 30%.
I understand it's the
Right.
30%.
Correct. There is an agreement. It's not fully signed by all breed registries, as stated before.
Okay, so we have an agreement, but somebody hadn't agreed? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Okay. And it's the Arabians?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are they here?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, well, tell me what the allocation is and what the allocation is by agreement between the others for the Arabians. I'm confused on this. Again, I thought the
Yeah.
Arabians' request had been met.
So the 30%, the 7.5 million of the 25 million per year is event request. It's usually based on the events outside of racetrack, at a racetrack, other than the 70% HIA that's controlled by the racetracks
Right.
itself. So these are the breed registry ones. So we can go through all four slides, sir, and address it if you want.
Go ahead. I'm interrupted you. Let's go ahead through your slides.
Okay, so this particular recommendation is for the paint horse. It's for their Lone Star Park current meet they're in to include barrel racing events, and the total amount for those events for race supplements, breed advertising, wagering equals $139,500 for this particular request. It's multiple events, I believe 8 of them. They're on your handouts, and they're on the last page of the 77 pager that was on the website, our
Okay.
website. So recommend approval on this one by
I'm
the
not going to do
commission.
them one by one. Let's just go through them all. Okay.
You want to go through them all? Okay.
So
So-
we're actually approving events. We're not just approving the budgetary allocation. Is
Right,
that
we're
correct?
approving all 8 of these events that are on your handout.
All right.
And
go
I just
ahead.
rolled them up into one slide.
All right. Go ahead. Thank you.
So we have the Lone Star Park meet, which is currently going on. There's a stallion bonus for 16,000. The Karen Utech Memorial Owner Bonus and Age Horse bonuses are 35,000 and $10,000 respectively. The Texas Hero Time Trial 2-year-old bonus, $15,000. The Barrel Racing Production in Amarillo, $3,500. The Texas Hero for Charity Owner Bonus Program at Lone Star Park, $50,000. The Hero Juvenile 2-year-old bonus is $5,000 also at Lone Star Park, and Olympia Joe 3-year-old owner bonus at Lone Star Park for $5,000. Collectively, all equal to be the $139,000. Back a slide. Do we want to go through all of them and recommend approval at the very end for all of them, sir?
What I thought we'd do.
Okay. So for the Arabians, the next slide for the Arabians, or go back one. The Arabian Stallion Stakes, filly and mare at Lone Star Park, 32,600. The Arabian Stallion Stakes at Lone Star Park, 32,500. The Arabian Juvenile Sprint Award at Lone Star Park, 37,000. Arabian Juvenile Sprint Stakes filly at Lone Star Park, 36,750. The Taba Starter Bonus at Lone Star Park, 22,000. Arabian Champions Program, Lone Star Park, $21,000. Lone Star Bonus Program, Lone Star Park, 42,000. And the Texas Endurance Ride at Sam Houston Race Park early in the year for 78.75. And on to the quarter horse, as Ms. Johansson stated, there's some events there that directly impact her. The Glenn Blodgett Owner and Jockey Bonus Program at Lone Star Park for 50,000. The B.F. Phillips Owner and Jockey for 50,000. The 13th annual Jeannie McKinn Memorial Barrel Race in Conroe for $8,700. The Hunt County Horseman Show Series at Sulphur Springs, $10,200. The Stock Horse of Texas, Texas Triple Threat in Abilene for $10,200. The Yellow Rose Owner and Jockey Bonus Program at Lone Star Park for $50,000. The Texas State Championship Year-End Awards at Lone Star Park for $56,000. The Texas Quarter Horse Barrel Stallion Incentive in November for the November Elite in Waco for $39,100. The Refrigerator Owner and Jockey Bonus Program at Lone Star Park for $100,000. And then the Lone Star Park Texas Bred Matching Bonus at Lone Star Park for $780,000. And that equals up to be 1.1 million and some change. And then on to the thoroughbreds. Lope, Texas donation for 10,100. Pony Club donation, 10,200. The Stakes Race Series at Sam Houston for 1.129,500. The consignor rebate, 2-year-old sale, which that brings more people to the sales because they get a little bit of a rebate on not having to pay the full price. So that's an incentive. That's 12,600. The Stay in the Game purse supplement at Sam Houston for 36,700. The Maiden Special Weight purse supplement at Sam Houston. It's a series. It's 313,000 for that series over the Sam Houston Park series. The Good Old Boy series purse supplement, also a series, $82,000. Staff recommendation is to approve all 4 of these for the.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So the total amount of dollars that have been allocated, it's not the entire 7.5 million for the year, is it?
Not yet.
Okay.
And as stated to the Breed Association, we have not gotten HIA for 2026 yet. That's why some of these events are ongoing, and we just don't have the money funded from the Texas Comptroller's Office yet.
Okay, and you're agreeing within, and your responsibility is to make sure that the timing of these payments happily agrees with the money we get from the state to make the payments, correct?
Yes, sir. And we'll do these events, and we'll do some more in December once we have that funding.
All right,
Have a
and
better
then,
feeling.
of course, we're relying on you in your review on these, and the use of this money is not in any use that's going to be frowned upon by the Texas State Auditor's Office with respect to race purses. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is something that you've reviewed and have approved in your capacity.
We've staffed it.
Got
Yes, not just me, but staff members as well.
All right. Perfect. Any questions, Gerald? Yeah, Mr. Wrestler with Quarter Horse Association, come on up. Since we're live streaming, be sure and talk about how great the quarter horses are doing this year, okay?
How much time do I have? I just want to point out number 7 under Texas Quarter Horse Association, the Texas State Championship Urine Awards. That's not at Lone Star. That is at Bryan College Station, an event that Chairman McNabb has attended several times.
All right. Well, thank you for that correction. All right. If there's no further discussion, the chair would now entertain a motion on staff's recommendation to approve distribution of funds from the horse industry escrow account to the state horse breed registrations for events to further the horse industry under 16 TAC Chapter 303.321, as has been outlined by Gerald Lawrence and the attachments in this agenda.
Second.
That motion by McNabb, second by Mock. Commissioners, you all have further questions? All right, hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, now, is there a separate allocation of the 30% numbers? Are we going to, do we need to approve that today also?
That's the agreement that has been signed by most of the breed registries.
I understand that.
But we don't have an agreement from them that we can recommend for.
Okay, so that's
Immediate
not
approval
going
at
to be
this
on the, voted on the agenda today. All right, well, thank you for clarifying this. All right, that completes our scheduled agenda. We're going to have a brief executive session on the, my time is 11:53. We'll excuse ourselves just for a brief executive session over here at our executive hall. And we'll be back in a minute. All right, the commissioners have come out of executive session at 12:02. There were no decisions made within executive session. Commissioners, are there any motions that'd like to be made?
I'd like to make a motion that the chair and the vice chair be authorized to initiate a search process for the new executive director.
All right, motion been made and second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you all very much. With all business concluded, we're now adjourned. Our next meeting is December 10th in this office at 10:30 a.m. Thank you much.